Good. All right, so welcome to number 3 video, Physical Therapy Connections. Again, my name is Chad Clark. I'm a physical therapist and owner of Physical Therapy Connections. We also do business as sports performance and rehab. We have a clinic in the Pueblo Athletic Club, Pueblo, Colorado. This week, I figured we were talking about the topic of balance. That gets brought up a lot. Balance typically is thought of as, oh, can I stand on one leg and not fall down? We have a little different take on that where we call it 3-dimensional balance. So what that is, it's similar to what we talked about the first video, where we move in different planes of motion, such as forward and backward, side to side, and rotationally left and rotationally right. So what I always try to do with, or what we try to do with everybody that comes in, is work on 3-dimensional balance in all 3 zones as well. So there's 3 dimensions of motion, as we mentioned, forward and back, side, and rotational. And there's also an upper level, mid, and lower. So for example, some practical things that you could do in your own home with minimal to no equipment are a mini lunge, which is a bad word. I know a lot of people are like, oh, a lunge. And we're not talking all the way down, like maybe you do in a health club or how some videos will show you. What we want to do is just a mini lunge forward and return with each leg. So I'll do about 5 of these with each of my legs. So there's 2 and 3, and I'm just alternating. I'm trying to keep everything from the waist up nice and erect, straight up. And that would be an example of a balance movement, or movement balance in this plane of motion. We could also do the same thing backwards. And I won't necessarily do all 5 reps, but a good way to start is just doing 5 repetitions on each leg in each direction. So that would cover our forward and back, 2 directions in this plane of motion. We also have sideways movements where we can move left and right, or what we call lateral movements. And this is working some different muscle groups, but the premise is to stay upright from the waist up and to work the lower body but connect everything just like we move in everyday life. Another way, a little more advanced for people that think these are pretty easy, we could do crossover lateral. So I could cross over in front of the leg that stays relatively in the middle. So I could do a front lateral crossover. I could also do a back lateral crossover. I'm keeping a chair nearby, just like you could do at home. Sometimes we'll recommend a person doing this by a wall or in a doorway where they have something to hold on to, just in case. The more advanced person would need this. They would, in fact, they would really expand the overall range of motion, and then that would lead into just more higher level athletic type training. You could do faster repetitions. You could also just do more repetitions. You could add weight as well, just to give you some ideas on how to advance these. The third plane of motion is rotational. So now I'm pretty much going along this lateral line that I was just doing, the side movements, but now I'm adding a rotation. If this is easy, because some people this may be extremely easy, we would open up the rotation. So instead of doing a 90-degree turnout, I could do 135 or even up to 180 degrees of rotation. And once again, I'm still keeping everything relatively upright from my waist up and using my hips and pelvis to turn, because that's pretty much the power source that'll give us and give you the most power and balance to do things. And the way we really put this together, where it's very practical, those are kind of like a little warm-up, is to do what we call a lunge and reach. So now I'm going through those same motions, still keeping my back straight, just to show you from a side view. But I'm moving, but I'm hinging at my hips so I can get a good reach, but not sacrifice any of the good form in my spine and upper and back. And that could be done in all the planes of motion. Forward, I could do backwards, simulating as if I'm picking something up. And I'd start off without any weight, and then gradually add weight, maybe 1 pound at a time. If you don't have free weights, you could just use cans of soup, or some people put cans and gradually overload that by putting them into a bag. Now I'm doing sideways. Again, I'm reaching down lower, going from moving my hands to about shin or knee height, back up to waist. And there again, I can do all those movements we just showed without the reaches, but then adding reaches, doing my lateral, my crossovers, and then rotational. Same thing. Actually, this is probably something we do more often than we realize. You could be in your own kitchen or somewhere. Instead of taking little shuffle steps to get from here to there, we just take one big rotational lunge. And then another rotation would be crossing over in front. A little awkward at first, but it really opens up the back part of the hips that we get very tight because we tend to walk turned out, most people do. So as we rotate in front of this stationary leg, we get a little more stretch on the back part of the hip. So that would be a lower reach. And then just to quickly show these, we would do the same thing, what we call middle zone, and that can be done somewhere between waist and shoulder height as we're going through. We call it lunge and reach, and then to add in some rotational. Then the third level is the upper. So as we're going forward, we're reaching up overhead. As we go sideways, we reach up overhead, and then same thing rotationally, reaching up overhead as we lunge. So you have 3 planes of motion, front and back, left and right side, left and right rotate, and 3 levels: lower below the waist, middle between waist and shoulder, and then upper, anything overhead. So that works 3-dimensional balance using lunges, lunge and reaches in all 3 planes of motion. Like always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, let us know. Our website at the www.pt-connections.com. Our phone number, look us up on Facebook. We'll be doing these videos, again, at least once a week, and hopefully they're educational and help you out. Thank you very much.